So I want to give a few examples of what companies can do and what we're going to see more and more of in the future to really fill in this matrix here and to get at the context dependency of human behavior. We need to defossilize our thinking. Let's forget about self-reports, not completely forget, but let's pay less attention to them. Let's pay less attention to Net Promoter Scores and try to figure out other ways to track how much our customers appreciate what we're doing. Here's one example. You've seen these. I think it's a very promising tool. You see it frequently, but I don't think we see it nearly enough yet. What is so great about it? Well, the data that you get a click. Okay, it's easy to understand. It's not a complicated judgment of would you recommend it to your friend on a scale from 0 to 10? You know, you're either really happy, you're satisfied, you're meh, or you're dissatisfied. It's easy to understand from the customer's perspective. There is much less selection bias. With Net Promoter Scores and customer satisfaction, you get a lot of selection bias. What that means is that people who have extreme opinions are much more likely to answer your survey. Or some people who are not that busy, for instance, are more likely to respond to your survey than people who are busy, and so on. So much more selection bias than with these tools. Here, people will click, you'll get a better sample of the population. But what's also beautiful about it is that you get location data and time data, right? So it's location and time stamped. And this really gets at the context dependency of value that you're providing to your customers. Because now you can start doing analysis and see who else, suppose we would have these tools here in this hotel. Who was working where? When was the last time that it was cleaned? Which employees were there? What was the weather like? And so on and so on. And so we'd get a much richer context-dependent perspective on the value that we're creating for our customers. So this is just one example that I think of a tool that is underutilized. Okay, here's another example. This is called, and this is actually a fairly cool instrument, I think. This is called a hedonometer. It's a tool that continuously scrapes the text that people post on Twitter. And then it applies some analytics to it to score the emotionality of the text. And what you're seeing here is higher scores are more positive emotions and lower score are more negative emotions. People feel unhappy. And then it tracks this over time. And you see some spikes here on Mother's Day, for instance, and on Independence Day, and so on. And this was, in the history of the hedonometer, the lowest point. This is when there's this protest against police brutality right after the George Floyd case in the US. Okay, so this is at a very large population level scale, but this stuff is easy to do at a company level scale as well, right? It's easy to write an algorithm or to buy an algorithm that scrapes data continuously, that applies simple text analytics, and you get a sense of the continuous emotional responses to your firm online, right? It's just a tool, just like this is a tool, but if we use multiple of these tools, we get a much more comprehensive view of what our customer is feeling. This stuff, I think, is incredibly valuable as well, not only in a market research context such as this, where you ask people like, hey, here's a new yogurt. Do you want to try it and tell us what you feel? And then people are kind of, I really don't like it, but I'll tell you that I like it, right? This thing gets through that. So algorithms here, recording and matching, allow you to get a more direct, not self-reported perspective on how your customers feel, not only in a market research context, but this can be applied broadly as well, and we'll see more and more of this. Voice recognition. Your customers are calling you because they have a complaint about a certain interaction or a product they've had. You know, we can have algorithms, machines, pick up the phone and immediately screen for the emotionality in the customer. And then strategically allocate customers to certain employees, right? So a customer may call us up, and the algorithm may say, oh, this customer is actually neutral and has a functional concern or a technological question about our product. You redirect that customer to your best person to provide technical assistance. Oh, this customer is really frustrated. You don't redirect that person to the customer, to your agent that provides best technological assistance, but to your agent that can really deal well with emotions. It has a lot of interpersonal skills and so on. Right? This is capturing the heterogeneity of customers. I gave this example. Posture tells you something about emotions. Why don't we start recognizing that? And then finally, an example in a purchase context. I don't know if you've heard of this company, Crobox. This is a Dutch AI company in the Netherlands. And so they're really big on combining data science with behavioral economics. Okay, so this is an example on a website, but you can do this also offline in stores, where you're creating small variations in how you present products to customers, and you're seeing how they respond, and based on that, you get an assessment of what you should be doing for which type of customers. So for instance, this jacket here, you could add a message and say, 1,000 customers have bought it, or 1,000 customers give this 5-star ratings, right? That's a message that relies on social proof, which is very influential in terms of getting people to do things. You could add an authority message, like this expert in mountaineering or whatever highly recommends this jacket. You could add a technological specification. This jacket has this ingredient that makes it really good. You could change the order in which you present the attributes. You can change the order in which you present the persuasion claims and so on. And the point is that all these variations are going to have an influence in the value that your consumers see in your product and in the likelihood that they will buy. Now, in the past, we would have no clue. We'd have people who are good at selling stuff and people who are not good at selling stuff. But now we can really track, measure, analyze what works and what doesn't work.